Welcome back to another episode of APositive Insights. And today I'm joined by Tania Evans.
Hey, Darren. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. You too. We've known each other for a long, long time. It'd be great if you could give everyone listening a quick overview of you.
The who is Tania Evans.
Yeah.
Okay.
The who.
Who is WorkPro, more importantly.
Wow, you are WorkPro.
I don't think so. It's a nice compliment, but I'm not taking that. So I'm one of the founders and the CEO of WorkPro, and you're right, we have known each other for a long time. WorkPro was born in 2007, and we launched it at the RCSA, the first RCSA conference actually in September.
Oh, wow.
So, our 18th anniversary is coming up this weekend. So WorkPro is a workforce compliance, screening, onboarding, compliance management and job readiness platform.
Yep.
Way back in 2007, where AI wasn't a thing and really the internet was not really a thing in terms of being able to automate recruitment processes. I have a background in marketing, and how WorkPro came to be is that my office where I worked, I could see people coming in and they were handed clipboards to fill out a recruitment application or a job application. And I was thinking, hang on a minute, all of this stuff happens over and over and over again. And so the seed of WorkPro was born.
Yeah, right. Wow.
So we thought, heavily legislated industry. Australia's got one of the heaviest regulations in terms of employment law globally. And so WorkPro is really an opportunity to set a very high standard in compliance and screening and making sure that it's consistent, for any role in any industry. So that's what WorkPro does. We get people job ready quickly.
Yep.
And we help our customers genuinely reduce manual administration, but also being able to adopt a platform that drives that standard from day one.
Yeah, no, amazing. I've never met anyone so passionate about compliance and job ready. I love it.
Really? Do you?
Yeah.
You haven't actually known someone that's so passionate.
I love the passion. I love the passion.
Well, I don't think I'd be doing this after 18 years.
No, of course not.
I mean, we see, honestly, from from a number of candidates, like the millions of candidates that do WorkPro, the difference that we make to their lives, to help them feel safe and that they're doing the right thing. And these things can be done quickly, but they can also be done thoroughly. And of course, clients don't want to talk about compliance. They just want it done for them.
Yeah, of course.
So, if I can get that to happen for both parties and then they can meet in the middle and everybody can get the job that they want, why wouldn't I be passionate about that?
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
Love that. So when it comes to scaling a recruitment business, what would you say are the core systems that every business should have in place?
Mm-hmm. From day one.
Yeah.
In my experience, we have these conversations daily, or our sales guys do, or our team do, where this kind of compliance thing is this thing that sits in the corner. It's grey carding and no one wants to talk about it. And it feels like it's just that's your job or it's someone else's job. So, after 18 years, I firmly believe that compliance just needs to be woven into a conversation and an organisation from day one. So whether you're a recruiter starting out or whether you are fast scaling, right, if you compared those two, if you get your systems right and the framework right from day one, the scaling piece can flex without you having to worry about, tripling the manual administration.
Yeah, of course.
So frameworks, understanding and mapping, the people that you are hiring, the roles that you're hiring for, the industry that you're hiring into, they're all going to be different. Compliance is going to be different. So it could be really light compliance. It could be super heavy compliance like healthcare, aged care, construction. So mapping that, understanding what those compliance requirements are, having those documented, and then just following the blueprint.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. Like, I suppose going back a step, not just about the scaling part, but if you set your business up with the right processes at the start, it's going to be so much easier to scale. Yeah. It's not even going to be a massive transition from startup to scale.
No.
You've got everything in place to scale.
Yeah.
I like that.
And if you then, throw some automation in there from day one and it can be really cost effective, that's not going to impact you as you scale because you've got your automation in place and you've got your technology, your systems in place, whatever that is. So it's just a matter of literally, keep hiring at growth or at scale. Meanwhile, the compliance is taken care of. So we've seen that over and over and over again. All of a sudden you find yourself in a real mess and then it takes months. to clean up and get the processes. And your team, of course, if you're scaling, you've got to bring that team along with you.
That's right.
But if you get it right from day one, that team just knows this is just the way we roll.
Yeah. So like a lot of the conversations we have, and this is not led by us, but a lot of agencies just see it as that tick a box. Just tick a box and it's gone.
Yeah.
Like how do you build that into like the culture of the business that it's more of a tick in a box exercise?
Yeah. Again, I think it's just that, stop compliance being in this thing that someone else has to take care of, except that it is a responsibility and obligation, and have the conversations with the candidates, take the opportunity to have, real conversations with candidates about how you approach, screening and how you are collecting information and how that information's secured. If you take it serious and you're having a conversation with a client or a candidate and it's just woven into the fabric, it actually just becomes the way we do stuff. Because tick boxes, let's face it, can become risky. If you don't care about it and you're like, oh, God, whatever, then the candidate's not going to care. And you place that candidate out at a job site, they become a risk.
Yeah, of course.
And they're representing your company. So then that can turn into workers' compensation claims, et cetera, et cetera.
That's a massive risk to the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. What's your thoughts on the passing on the responsibility of the employment and
as
the
in contracting out?
So as an agency, if they pass on the obligations like a contractor management provider who cover the insurances and the OH&S, what's your thoughts on that process?
I think that's box ticking.
Yeah.
If you were going to outsource that and that was a true partnership, then that agency would need to be completely watertight and confident and comfortable in the processes that were being followed, that there were regular audits being conducted, there was regular meetings taking place so they could understand and agree to the blueprint that needs to be rolled out for every single candidate. Like they are an extension of your agency. You can't treat them any different.
Yeah.
So I don't think, you definitely can't contract out of your legal obligations.
Yeah.
But if you are using a contractor management firm, that needs to be seen as a collaborative partnership. Otherwise, you will be seen as just passing it over by the regulators, right?
Yeah.
Do you find that? Have you kind of had those conversations or contemplated it?
That's not a service that we provide anymore because
No.
of the grey area around passing on the legal obligation of the employment, but then the risk that sits behind that employment. Then potentially if it's a work cover claim because it has just been a tick a box exercise and there has been no process around the compliance. Yeah, it's definitely, we believe it's adding more risk to the agency and the people working.
Yeah. And there you go. There'll be some agencies that say, do you know what? I don't want to take on this obligation. It's all too hard. Can I just outsource this thing?
Yeah.
And then, and I'll come back to the day one, and that the compliance, the DNA of your organisation, that's just to be seen as I'm not taking this seriously. And that's why products like WorkPro exist. We understand it's a burden. You didn't start a recruitment agency to be a compliance specialist.
Yeah, of course.
Unless you did.
Yeah, but you did.
But I guess that's why, WorkPro has been so successful over 18 years and our continuing innovation and evolution is because we know that this is not your thing. We want you to be great at what you do, which is finding, sourcing great candidates and matching them to the right jobs at the right time.
Yeah.
But we also accept that it's a massive risk in hiring people.
Yeah.
And so if you work, and WorkPro is not the only, solution available on the market. I'm not suggesting it is, but, making sure that you're working with the right partner who then can take that burden, but you get the visibility and you get the audit ready trail. And it can be a conversation that happens at C-suite where you can get that kind of dashboard and feel for where your compliance is at. So you can be making sure that you are not going to be, as an officer of the organisation, risking your own business.
Yeah. I suppose that sort of flows nicely into the next question, actually. How do you stay in control when you are scaling and juggling all these different tasks? How do you, tell me that.
I kind of a bit similar to what I was saying earlier about the blueprint, like mapping who you're hiring, what your legal obligations are, And then, all agencies will have an applicant tracking system. I can't imagine, even as a startup, that you would not be.
Well, you'd be surprised.
Really?
We still see businesses running on the spreadsheet.
Stop it.
Yeah, honestly. I swear.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they're hardly going to adopt WorkPro,
well, maybe they will. Maybe
this
be
is
the
an
first
opportunity
system.
to let them know that there's really cost-effective ways of getting this stuff in place from day one. But, like I said, the blueprint and the mapping of roles and, you should be using an ATS. And if you are using an ATS, is having those conversations really early on to understand what either they've got that capability as a proprietary, solution inside their organization or inside the ATS, or what partner they could be speaking to, potential partner that's going to address those requirements based on roles and industries that they hire for.
And then how do you work out what the actual requirements are?
Honestly, chat can help. Chat is a great starting point. They can definitely speak to company like WorkPro. Like organisations shouldn't be afraid to reach out to specialists in their field to at least get some advice. We often find ourselves in a position where we're either providing information, links to, phone numbers to, or people, or introducing them to people that can assist to either articulate or to check. Yeah. What are my obligations? I'm hiring for these roles. Can you give me some advice on this? And sometimes they won't purchase WorkPro, and that's perfectly fine. So there's lots of people out there. There are the chats of the world.
Yeah.
That is a good starting point. But never ever take your eye off the ball either, because it is a moving feast. Right? Compliance today will not be compliance in 6 months' time. Like we've seen things like fixed contract.
Yeah.
We've seen things like the changes to the casual worker statement, fair work statement, obligations change as risks and injuries increase. So I guess, and maybe it's a long-winded way of saying it, but you, as an owner of the business, you must be keeping your eye on the ball, regularly reviewing your processes and your blueprint to make sure that it continues to meet the legal framework.
Yeah. So I would love to hear an example of how tech has saved a recruitment business in the past.
I have a couple of favourites actually. One is when we launched an automated police checking service. And again, we weren't the first to launch an automated police checking service, but we have been accredited by ACIC for 13 years. So we're very early to police check automation. Toll, right? So Toll came to us and they were conducting manual police checks on every single driver and every single person in every single depot and every corner of Australia. And they were completing manual police checks, collecting identities, snail mail off to the police. 6 weeks later, they were turning up. And by then, they've either taken a risk with a driver or multiple drivers, and actually just staff and workers, and they potentially were not getting their checks back at all. Right? There was no visibility. And so you can imagine.
And these people are already out working.
They are already out working. Right. So they're either not working because they can't hire them, or they said, you know what, we have to take this risk, and these people are going to sign a stat dec, and should something adverse come up in this police check, then we'll address it through these mechanisms. So I'm not suggesting Toll wasn't doing the right thing. They totally were doing the right thing, but it was significantly impacting productivity and increasing risk. So yes, I am the girl that gets excited about compliance, but you can imagine my delight when we were able to automate a police checking service, which gave them visibility, enabled the candidate or empowered the candidate to be able to complete an application online, and securely uploading ID. And because of the integration that we were able to connect with ACIC, they were getting police checks returned within the hour. I mean, that genuinely revolutionised the way they were able to hire and manage their, robust screening by that tech becoming available in the market.
Yeah, that's great.
And that was a long time. That feels like a long time ago now.
How long ago was that?
It was 12 years ago. God.
It's just crazy to think all the processes that were manual. I think every business should be using something like that.
Well, they do. You're right.
They do
sometimes, and it's probably going to be a story I'll raise on Friday when we have our 18-year anniversary, because it's, you don't kind of think about those things because tech is moving so fast, and you kind of don't appreciate the stepping stones that have taken to get there. Yeah. And everyone's now saying, and I know we do it, we've taken advantage of biometrics and document verification services and AI to speed up those processes and provide authenticity. But 12 years ago wasn't that long ago.
No,
right?
Not at all.
Shit, they were doing police checks and snail mail.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
So what strategies would you recommend to a business that is growing fast?
Honestly, like everything, and I'm sure, this is how we talk about AI and agentic AI, right? Document. What are the processes I have to follow? What are the checks and balances that I need to cover off before I hire someone? Does my applicant tracking system enable me to scale? Prove to me what the integration opportunities might be if you have a third party that you need to use. And then bring your team in and make sure that they are on the journey from day one. Make sure that it is part of your DNA, because then you won't be having a separate kind of conversation around compliance and compliance risk.
Yeah.
And the senior leadership team, make sure that the leader of the pack has visibility of data and visibility of your compliance at your SLT meetings, so that it's a conversation that happens, right from day one, right in those leadership teams. So it's actually bottom up and top and top down. I know it's kind of, everyone talks about that, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, compliance cannot sit out separate, because that's just someone else's.
Well, this is what I was going to ask. Was it outside the business? You're saying it shouldn't sit outside the business, should be ingrained in the business.
Should be ingrained in the business.
Would you not recommend that rather than rely on your consultants, that essentially salespeople? Mm-hmm. That's what they're good at.
Yep.
Would you not recommend having like an operations manager that manages compliance across all consultants? Or would you have an expectation it forms part of the individual consultant's role and that's something that they should be doing?
Maybe not doing it, and this is the beautiful thing about technology.
Yeah.
And we may talk about that in another question, but I guess having just someone else do it, right, and I'm hands off and I don't have to worry about it, is not part of the DNA.
Yeah.
Because if that consultant just thinks, I don't have to talk about this, I don't have to do it, and I've got no visibility of it, then they have no interest in it. So operations or a compliance or a work health and safety manager may have accountability for making sure that it is the policies and the framework and the procedures are adhered to, but every single recruitment consultant, every single staff member needs to be aware of it and appreciate it and be into it.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, this is from my experience of like speaking to recruiters in different industries.
Yeah.
People that are in like accounting, finance, IT.
Yep.
I always believe that they think we don't really need to worry about compliance. Yeah. Like it's only if you're in a healthcare, construction space, like a high risk kind of industry. Like, so just for people listening, like it should be used widely across every industry. There's a compliance risk in every industry.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually shocked that you've said that, but I shouldn't be, because you raised 5 minutes ago that people are still operating off spreadsheets, recruiting on spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets, manual timesheets, it's still manual processes.
Right.
Even though everything you're seeing on social, everyone's talking about AI and tech, people are still using manual processes. Yeah.
We're a long way away, right?
Yeah.
I said at the start, the compliance is different in different roles and in different industries. Totally get that. But when someone who is in a white collar industry, as an example, and I completely appreciate where they're coming from with it, like it's low risk, really, what are the chances?
Yeah, that's the conversation.
Let's think about mental health then. Like every time that you turn on the news or you open up your phone, that we're talking about the impact of mental health on productivity, on individual. So if we think about that as a compliance, you hire an individual, and regardless of whether they're, they're a temp contractor or whether they're perm, as an employer, you have a responsibility to keep them safe at work. So we're talking about white collar and the things like risks in an office environment, someone slipping over some water in the kitchen or, plugging electricity in and, having multiple, cords there, right? Low risk, right? But there are other things in white collar environments, in really, allegedly low risk environments that you need to take care of. So mental health in the workplace, cybersecurity, privacy, working from home.
Yeah, that's a huge topic, really.
Huge.
Yeah.
Keeping people across things like the Fair Work Statement. Like these are all obligations. Keeping people across closing loopholes, the right to disconnect. I mean, these are all things that are related to compliance. You need to make people aware of what their responsibility, obligation is around these things, just as much as what the employer's responsibility is relating to these things. So, outside of, I'll call it education and learning and information that needs to be shared, because that's a compliance obligation regardless of industry, is things like, citizenship and work rights checks. That's a compliance obligation. And probity and background checks depending on the role, because they're all to do with compliance and it's all to do with risk. Yeah. So I'm going to call BS on that.
Yeah.
I think I've covered it.
Yeah, good. No, good. So I suppose, we're just talking about tech and AI and everything like that. So as the industry does move forward and implements more tech, how do you see recruitment businesses needing to adapt their processes?
Look, just as they scale, just as the environment changes, as applicant tracking systems and other, point systems like WorkPro, we're all looking and are evolving as well. So we're following the regulations. We're looking at privacy. We're looking for ways to evolve what we do to make it easy.
Yeah.
So moving compliance from being reactive to proactive. There's automation in place that can do these things right now, whether that's your applicant tracking system or a system like WorkPro where you don't have to be thinking about it because these checks are being, automated. Asking the questions of your partner. What is your roadmap?
Yeah.
So as you're scaling and growing and you need to adopt these processes because you don't want to go back to being manual, right? Is to have the conversations with your partners about what they're doing to make compliance or screening or whatever they're doing, moving from being manual and reactive to proactive. And there is absolutely systems out there that are taking away that manual administration and actually automating it for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happening now. You just need to have a conversation.
Yeah. There's so many options.
We could move into AI now, right? We could have that conversation around what happens with AI. I'm not sure whether you saw the news this morning about Workday being hacked.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So, and I don't know whether this is going to be controversial, right? So just be really careful.
Yeah, of course.
I don't want to be having an opinion about what Workday, but the AI in Workday was actually a third-party platform that was integrated into Workday, was hacked. So that would be like WorkPro integrating up into JobAdder, and we've been hacked because WorkPro has used AI in an open source environment, which has then enabled the machine to take out contact numbers and names and emails and all the rest of it, which is obviously massive impact.
Huge privacy issue there.
So I don't know whether we want to actually mention that because that's just literally come up this morning and I've kind of glanced at it and gone, God, I need to save that article for later.
Yeah, you have a read of that. Yeah.
But the AI piece is again, understanding where, AI sits in your partner's ecosystem and how secure that data is making sure that if your partner or the solution that you've selected is using AI, is to understand where that data is coming from. Because if it's from an open source, then there's risks
that
your candidate the recruitment agency's candidate information is being fed into and therefore, creates a risk for your organisation. So asking the question of your partner, are you using AI? How are you using it? Is it secure? And asking for proof of that. Because for all the marvellous things that AI is, there's also the downside of AI and your data. You have a responsibility as an agency owner to make sure your data is safe.
And I would say there's a huge risk at the moment because there's so many, I suppose, opportunities to implement AI and at an individual sales, a BDM, sales consultant, recruitment consultant, they're all using their own or trying different things. And there probably isn't, well, they are, but I don't know whether they might not be consulting the owners around the risk of them using those certain tools or whether they are breaching any privacy or like that's quite
I agree.
Scary. What could be getting put out there?
It's kind of this fun of, adopting AI and experimenting with it. But what are you experimenting with? Is it your candidate data?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We were having this conversation yesterday at APositive, and it was, there's definitely tools we can use to grow the business, but from a back end, like credit, financial risk, like putting our clients' data into that
open
world
source.
is not something we're doing at the moment.
But at least you're aware of it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're definitely considering how we can improve processes and compliance using tech, but that risk of privacy is a huge one. Definitely a huge one.
Yeah. And it's definitely in the news. It's definitely in the news talking about the new privacy laws, and they just simply can't keep up. So we just need to be aware of risk and cautious of it.
It's good to have partners that are across the changes that can give you sort of high level what the risk is to the business as well, because it's hard to stay across all of this. Like
so hard, even for us. I mean, we have we have a swathe of partners that stand next to us. And they're proactively advising us so that we can, build out solutions or additional functionality or release information that informs and educates and, just keeps people up to date with what, they need to be aware of. We can't do everything for you.
Of course.
But, we try really hard to make sure that we're in front of, changes that are impending changes with our partners.
Yeah. Is there any source that you'd recommend to agency owners just to stay up to date with some compliance changes?
Yeah. Oh, look, honestly, for recruitment owners, the membership associations, are the go-tos. They should be members of these associations. They do a rock solid job of keeping people informed, and everybody is welcome to participate in any way they want to. But the least they can do is become a member of their own industry's association.
Yeah. So I just wanted to go back to we're talking about leveraging tech to manage your compliance. And, predominantly consultants are salespeople, but how do they bring the tech and how they manage compliance into like a strategic advantage in the market?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Competitive advantage, right? Compliance being a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
I have been banging my drum for so many years about why compliance can't be that competitive advantage. It doesn't have to be, sitting in the corner in grey cardigan and boring. Compliance is a thing. I mentioned it way earlier around, highly regulated, Australian law, employment law is. So using the opportunity, if you're an agency and you're trying to attract the best consultants, those consultants, as you said, they don't want to do compliance. They want to be out talking to clients. They want to be having meaningful conversations with candidates.
Yeah.
So bringing the compliance conversation is when you're hiring a recruitment consultant, outlining how you go about your business, starts the DNA conversation, but also illuminates for the recruitment consultant, actually this organisation doesn't make me do manual administration, doesn't make me, work in spreadsheets. They've just proven to me that they've got this bulletproof automated platform as much as possible about how they're going to address compliance. So I don't need to do it. I think that's...
I love that. So you're talking about attracting consultants into your business as well.
Yeah. And then of course the clients. If you are genuinely, if you've got great processes and great procedures and you've got some automation and you've got, confidence in the way that you're screening and onboarding and managing candidate compliance, show that to your client. Go out there and talk about it.
It sounds like a no-brainer. Yeah.
I mean, we're all trying to, it's difficult to be different. It's difficult to stand out from the crowd, when you're an agency and you're being, and as a client, you're being pitched every other day, right? To use compliance, this is how we go about our business, and having that in your tender responses and having that in your pitch decks, and almost turning it on its head and becoming a consultant to your client. Offering, this is our blueprint. You hire for these roles, perm.
Yeah.
Let's map that together so we can make sure that both processes are consistent.
Yeah.
You'd be seen as being a consultant.
It's more of a consultative sale. It's less transactional.
Yeah.
Yeah. You add in a lot more value to a client.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's harmony. Right, across the processes, whether you've got labour hire coming in versus the hiring of the perm workforce. I can't say whether organisations that use WorkPro, our customers that use WorkPro, aren't having those conversations. But I love the idea of it because everybody is looking for competitive advantage.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. I love that, Tania. I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your experiences.
Thank you.
So we always like to finish off with one piece of advice. So what would be your one piece of advice to the listeners?
Agency owners.
Agency owners. Hopefully it's agency owners listening. So what would be your one piece of advice to agency owners?
Honestly, I think they need to get your processes right from day one. Don't ignore compliance, right? Because it doesn't go away and it's constantly changing. So make sure that it's just embedded in your DNA early.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you.